budgets, like, the sound design, the direction. I've always really worked with engineers, and then I
Yeah.
didn't know that like I was being the producer until someone woke me up to the fact to it, and I took all my production credits back.
Oh,
Because I'm like, no, these are
nice.
mine, okay?
That's This is Ryan with Ethereal Metal, and I'm going to be here today with Lindsay Schoolcraft. Lindsay, it's an absolute pleasure to chat with you today about Harrowing. Really looking forward to everybody hearing this album. It's amazing.
Thank
It's going to be
you.
out June 19th, and I just wanted to ask before we start, how have you been?
Yeah, good, really good. Really happy that the album's almost out.
Yeah, for
No
sure. For
complaints.
sure. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, cool. So before we start, I always like to have a little fun icebreaker.
Okay.
Um, so you're now the villain in a gothic opera that you didn't agree to star in. Cody and Dylan are your reluctant henchmen, and the harp is now actively betraying you. Justin is scoring your downfall in real time. What's your villain entrance theme called? And what completely unnecessary dramatic thing are you doing while it plays?
It's called This Is a Threat. Uh,
Nice.
I guess it would be some kind of distorted harp, you know, some really like just microtonal out of tune, really scary harp.
Nice.
If that's what you're wondering, what it would sound like. That's
Very
so.
cool.
I was like, this sounds like real life. When you like started saying this up until the point in JD, I was like, that sounds like our everyday.
Like, oh, this is nothing new.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Very cool. So I wanted to ask, now, now that we kind of set that curse fully in motion, Harrowing feels less like a collection of songs to me as I was going through the promo, and more like a psychological and almost spiritual journey. When
Yeah.
did you realize that this album wasn't just another record, but that it was becoming something far more personal and transformative?
I'm so glad that you caught that, because I was worried that maybe people wouldn't. But we've been working on this album for 4 years, and as I was just working on each one, I'm very aware and try to avoid same song itis. I don't want songs to sound the same. I don't want two songs to sound too much the same, like full sound development wise or melodically or lyrically. So in being aware of that, I'm like, okay, like luckily everything that was being presented to me had its own little flair on it, and I'm like, thank God for that, because if it didn't,
Yeah.
I'd be like, like, no, we're not using this, or like, go rewrite it and we'll talk about it later, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So with every song, there was definitely a different emotion there. And then by the time we had that body of work, I realized, oh, this is like, I didn't plan for it to be a concept album. I never think that a concept album should be forced. Or
Yeah.
like if you have a vision and you have a story, absolutely go for it. Like there's a lot of concept albums that I love. There's albums that I were considered not concept albums, and I thought they were a concept album, because like
Sure.
the listener's journey, the track list, the flow, it all made sense to me. So when I started realizing, oh, this is kind of like the 7 stages of grief, but it's actually like, the shame and the anger and the hopelessness of like being stuck in these like really difficult situations. I was like, okay, we need to like tell this story. So it was just kind of like everything with this, just from the artwork to the concept to the meaning, just came very naturally. I
Yeah.
think it was just used as a tool for me, like, when we started it 6 years ago and it really developed about 3 years ago. It was just like, it was just me healing through something difficult I've been through. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, there it is. Like that makes sense to me now.
Yes.
So it was nice to be able to present it that way. Cause I feel like with Martyr, I was just like, this is not a concept album. This is just like me being a singer songwriter with Rocky
Sure.
Gray.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
here's a bunch of
Yep.
songs,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely. And one thing that stands out immediately to me is the title itself. So it kind of implies surviving through something traumatic and coming out changed on the other side of that, which many of us, myself included, yourself included, can obviously relate with.
Mhm.
Was the title chosen early on during the writing process, or did it kind of reveal itself along the way with the themes of rebirth and healing?
It's really strange. I actually remembered the word like a few years ago, I was like, you know, like just thinking of like old, it probably was around the time of Christmas, like Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And then, you know, like old biblical words that like nobody really uses anymore, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
kind of came to mind, like there's like harbinger and like really weird old H harsh sounding words, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay. And I came across harrowing, and I was just like, what does that mean again? I'm like, oh yeah, like a long, grueling process. And I was like, okay, like that kind of feels how this has been going, because it was a lot of stop, start. Like we're all, as in the writer camp and in the production camp, we were all just waiting to get it done, and you know, couldn't book any time until like 6 months later. I'm like, this is so brutal. Like I hate this. I just want to finish these and get them out there. If I had it my way, it would have been out 2 years ago, but I digress.
Of
So
course. Yeah. Yeah.
it was like, okay, maybe like that's it. And then I saw the artwork, which we got from public domain. It's Alphonse Morha's illustration, like magazine cover, which like has the angel of death, and it was there to symbolize like the turning over of the new year, the death of the old self. And I was like, maybe there's like a deeper meaning to harrowing. Like I kept digging. I do that with everything. Like it just keep going. It's fun. I like research. And
Nice.
the
Yeah.
biblical meaning of harrowing is when the angels went down into hell and took back the souls that like Satan had wrongly claimed. I hope I'm quoting that correctly. So I was like, well, that kind of feels like what this album is about. It's like you've been told that you're not good enough and you're nothing, and you're really just being kept there for someone's source, you know, to keep them sustained. And hopefully that like this album in a way can be a harrowing for you to wake up and realize that like, okay, you're in a bad situation and you need to get yourself out of this and heal from it. So it was very like the layers of meaning to all of this was like, oh my goodness, I didn't really have to try. But when you have 4 years to overthink and plan, it also comes easy because you have so much time on your
You're
hands.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And going through the album, it doesn't hide from pain at all,
Oh
right?
God,
It
no.
confronts it head on. When you're writing about narcissistic abuse, spiritual collapse, anger, and healing in such a brutally honest way, how do you protect yourself emotionally while being able to revisit those experiences night after night in the studio?
I mean, you don't, you know, like the song Vague, which just came out today, and then the
Yeah.
outro track Chase the Dark. Every time, whether I was writing it, demoing it, finishing the vocals in the studio, I was just like tearing up. I'm like, these are they're very deep songs for me. You know, and some songs like I Wait for You to Fall or So Alive, I was just like
So
having
alive. Yeah.
fun. You know, I was just like, I'm angry, I'm sassy, like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
petty,
Yeah.
like this is easy, you know, but like there's really no way to protect yourself. Like you have to, in order to heal from it, you kind of have to crack yourself open and process it and feel it and really go through the range of emotions that come with it. Until you've gone
Yeah.
through that, you can't get out on the other side. So, you know, I've been through a lot in life, and people are like, oh, you're so strong. I'm like, well, because I had to be. So, you know, going through that process, I've been through it time and time again. It's just like, oh, we're going through this again. Okay, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
here we go.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, round three. Yeah.
Yeah, round
Yeah. Yeah.
6,020, whatever
Exactly.
the number is.
It's like you lose count. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You told the world we were at peace. The silent war raged underneath. You hold the power in the lies you keep. Your truth.
What really surprised me is how sonically aggressive parts of the album feels. There's almost like this darker electronic edge, kind of heavier, not just musically, but emotionally weight throughout the album. Did that sound
Yeah.
kind of naturally evolve out of the subject matter, or was there a conscious decision to push further into these kind of harsher textures this time around?
Well, it's really interesting that you asked that, because when I started writing this album, I was doing it with Rocky Gray and his friend
Yes.
Brian Cook. So like
Yeah.
they were bringing the heavy and that old school Evanescence sound that like
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
always going to be an influence on me.
Sure.
And then just because we were all like struggling with work and, you know, where the world was at the time, it took a while to like really get things off the ground. And then in the beginning of, I don't remember what year it was. I want to say 2022. It was probably 2023. I went out to a Motionless in White show and I was talking with Chris and I was telling him where I was at with the new album. And he's like, well, why don't you like come in and work with my producer, JD? Because like,
JD,
you know,
yeah.
he likes symphonic metal. He likes the female voice. Like, I feel like he'd be a really good fit for you. And he was right. He was. You know, so we were co-producing this together. I take on more of a traditional producer role. JD is definitely like the brains and the vision and the sound design and the engineering. Like he's in the mixing, obviously. Like, you know, I'm still in the baby stages of understanding a lot of that. So we worked on it together, and I did like I love Motionless in White. Obviously, I've worked with them in the past, and you know, I told him like I do love electronic music. I love trip hop. I love EDM. I love electronica. I love witch house. Like, please, like go wild, go insane when it comes to like, you know, like I want this to sound like, you know, this influence from Nine Inch Nails here or this or that. And thank God for JD, because he's such a brilliant sound designer when it comes to electronic music, that he really nailed it. You know, going from song to song to song, like he gave, like we avoided the same songitis and really found something different to bring to everyone. Even the outro track, like Chase the Dark, like I wrote that purely as like a witch house track, and then he's like, oh, we gonna make it heavy. I'm like, all right, let's go. You know, but we keep a little bit of that witch house in there, like it's in there, and I'm like, that's awesome. I'm so happy we did that. So yeah, and I mean, he knows how to make the guitar sound huge, and between him and Cody and Rocky and Brian, like they all brought some really cool guitar parts to it too. So I was like really happy about that, because I felt like they matched, like if that's how those lyrics would sound on a guitar, that's it. You know what I mean?
That
like
would be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like really happy with them for that. It was super cool.
That's awesome. Cool. And I imagine having the right collaborator is crucial when it comes to, you know, vulnerable material such as this. And with Justin having such a cinematic and emotionally explosive production style, on top of having that creative team that you've been working with, Spencer, Rocky, and obviously the band members themselves, Cody and Dylan, Harrowing feels incredibly layered, but still emotionally unified. What did those collaborators bring into the album that helped elevate it beyond where you had originally imagined it being?
Well, I feel like between Rocky and Brian and Cody, they all did a lot of the groundwork for like setting up something that I could work with to put lyrics and melody over. And I'm really grateful to them for that. And then we brought in Dylan, and of course he made the drums sound actually like drums, not just like, you know, like typical basic beats that, you know, everyone throws into their songs in the beginning. I'm very grateful to Dylan for that. And he helped a lot with the arranging too. So, you know, once Rocky and Brian are like, this is the idea, this is like what we got, then it got tossed over to Cody and me and Dylan, and we had a lot of remote writing sessions over Discord where we were just like having fun and rearranging and trying things and getting the drums right and making sure the guitar was cool. But then of course when we brought it to JD, he's the one who was like, you know, like the quality control kind of guy, and he saw like a bigger vision for some of them. He's like, it's cool what you're doing here, but you should try this. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna trust you and trust the process. And you know, because of him, we got like I wait for you to fall. Like, yes, I started that song with Rocky and Brian, but it didn't have the chorus it did before, you know, so it was a very weird mashup song, which I like doing. I like it when the chorus is like completely left field. I love stuff like that. A lot of electronic music does that. So I was like, okay, like sure. But it was really a process. And then of course, like the last piece is like Spencer, who does all the orchestration. So you know, everyone was on board. They cared. They had vision. They were like, you know, we just want to make these songs the best they can be, but also stick to like what story you're trying to tell. Because I feel like the storyteller in all of this. And yeah, I'm grateful for all of them every step of the way. And even Krista Shipperbottom, who came in. Yeah, she came in as guest vocals on So Alive. Like, I'm so happy that she was a part of that, because like she's a dear friend, and I felt like I wrote the album for her. Like, I went through all of that, but she also just like previously went through all of that too. So I was like, yeah, you got to be a part of this. Like, you were the inspiration for me to like talk about this.
That's awesome. Yeah. In fact, right before I actually pulled in to my place where I live, that was the last track I had on.
Oh, no way.
I came out. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's cool. So I wanted to jump back. You had mentioned about the meaning of Harrowing and kind of like the biblical aspect of it. One song that kind of punches you in the chest was Crucified. That track uses kind of almost religious symbolism in a really intense and powerful way. Was that imagery something that you intentionally leaned into because of your own experiences, or did these metaphors kind of just naturally emerge while processing everything emotionally?
I think it's so funny because when we first got like the first draft of what JD did to that song, I sent it to Cody immediately, and his response was like, "It makes me want to fight the sun." I was like, what? Like he just said he couldn't stop listening to it. He couldn't believe something he wrote could sound so massive.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
fair. I mean, he started it, and I just started kind of like, vomiting melodies and like not literally, but just getting ideas out.
No,
like,
of course. Yeah.
I'm working on it, and I'm like, this track just makes me really angry. Like I've really realized like I'm really pissed off. Like someone like really pissed me off, and I'm like, what am I so mad about? But I loved it. Like when he sent it to me, he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, oh, I really want to work with that. Like that's such a cool idea, especially that melody going on in the intro and the guitar part over the chorus.
Yeah.
So as I went on and I started like shaping the story, I was like, oh, like, there was like a little bit of that Christian Catholic iconology, which like I was raised Roman Catholic, so I know it in and out.
Yeah, sure.
But also like there's a lot of royalty wrapped in that, especially like, coming out of England and Europe. So I was like, it's really just saying like a lot of people hide behind these power structures that they've put in place, but like really they don't have the power. The only power that they ever had was what they put over you mentally. And then when you crack that, you take your power back and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm done with you. Like, I'll never be good enough for you. Like, you think you hold the power here and you think you're so important. But what's actually more important is me thinking for myself, and taking my power back. So that's like, I never really meant for it to be that way, and we kind of laughed because when we finished it, he's like, yeah, so your first single was Savior and now it's Crucified. He's like, what's your first single off your next album? Like Baptism? I'm like, right, I don't know. Like what do you want from me? like Tabernacle? Like I don't know.
Right.
Like
Right.
like I don't know.
You just got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Like it's already structured. Now you might as well just.
yeah. So but it just happened to be that way.
Cool.
That I think, I think it worked.
Nice. And what's fascinating for me about Harrowing is that it doesn't stay in one emotional state. Album moves through sorrow, rage, revenge, hope, and ultimately just that final release. Which emotional stage was actually the hardest for you to write, honestly? Was it the anger? Was it the act of finally letting go?
Oh, it was the hopelessness. It was the track Vague, because I remembered being that young girl like in my late teens and just being overcome by hormones and lack of knowledge and being so like hopelessly in love with someone who deep down inside is not good for you. They don't want you to leave. They don't want you to be your authentic self. They don't love you for who they are. They love what they get out of you.
Yeah.
And I've been through that so many times in my life, whether it's been relationships or family or friendships or career. And it's that like, I don't know who I'm going to be without you, but that could be two ways. Is like, I don't know who I'll be, but like, who could I be without
exactly.
you? Like there's like that, you're asking both questions. Like either way, like I'm too scared of my life without you because even though this is horrible, this is comfort.
Yeah.
So it's being like numb, and it's just like being stuck in your head, and it's like you love this person even though they don't genuinely love you. And, but you're getting sick, and everything's vague, and you want to run away, and maybe one day I'll be a strong person and I'll leave. But that like when you're about to leave them, like they're going to pull every bullshit excuse in the book. And it's like, it's statistically proven that when women try to leave men, like they're often killed. Right. And that's a huge subject that we need to touch on. And I wrote that for those women. I'm getting so emotional right now. I wrote that for those women because I have been in that position, scared for my own life. They say there's a quote like, men are scared of being rejected by women. Women are afraid that men will kill them. And that's it. And I
Yeah.
specifically wrote that and went back to that moment of I have to choose myself, and I'm so scared to choose myself. And
Yeah.
that was the hardest
Absolutely.
one. That's the hardest one to touch on out of all of those.
You mentioned earlier about kind of learning about the production aspect as well. Uh, Completely earning that recognition now, not just as an artist, but now as a producer. When
Yeah.
you listen to your earlier material compared to Harrowing, where do you hear the biggest growth in yourself creatively and technically?
Ooh, that's a really, ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot to answer. I mean, I didn't realize it, but since day one, I have been the producer in a traditional sense. Like, I'm the one who
Sure.
shows up, I'm
Yeah.
managing the team, the crew, the musicians, the budgets, like, the sound design, the direction. I've always really worked with engineers,
Mm.
and then I
Yeah.
didn't know that like I was being the producer until someone woke me up to the fact to it, and I took all my production credits back.
Oh,
Because I'm like, no, these are
nice.
mine, okay?
That's it.
But
That's
like,
me.
um, I I really like I went back and listened to my first EP recently, just briefly, because I had to do some admin stuff and reload the catalog to something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I like how experimental I was. I really wasn't playing it safe. I was really trying to fit in like every note on the piano, and I loved that. I was like, I'm very proud of myself for like really overthinking this. But like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that overthinking, like I was really feeling it. But of course, you don't know what you don't know, and production, engineering, mixing, it's changed so much in the past 20 years, 20 to 15 years. So like you have to kind of forgive yourself and be like, I was doing my best at the time with what I knew and what was available in front of me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I noticed the change in my voice. I noticed the maturity of these songs. Obviously, going between like my first EP was not heavy. My Patreon album, which came out a few years ago, was not heavy. I
Yeah.
kind of waver in between like doing a heavy album and then doing a soft album, then doing a harp album. So it's always going to be different. Like I feel like every single one has been different. But I mean, if we look at back at Martyr compared to like Harrowing now, I think on Harrowing I almost played it a little too safe, and now I'm like, I gotta get gritty and dirty on the one post this. Like I gotta be
Yeah.
primal about this. I gotta get weird and, have imperfections because I felt like this one
Nice.
was very
Nice.
safe and clean. But if you're saying you like it, that makes me happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a little
Yeah.
too worried it was a little too polished, but I think it's very like straight to the point and it's an easy listen.
No, it
But
is.
there's
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, there's so many points where you can be like, oh, I've grown and I haven't, and I need to like take a page out of my past self's book. And there's so many little things. Being a producer is such a cool thing. But it's also like, you just got to do it and stop thinking and be in the moment with the art. You
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to, there's moments where like, I'll take this past thing and put it in here. I want to try this now. But like, you just have to keep going and trust your team. Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, I have to trust the people around me to pull me through the process and finish it with me, get past the finish line. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could talk about that forever. It's just too much, so much overthinking though. It's like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
Cool. So my last question I have for you, Lindsay, when someone finishes the album from front to end, what do you hope stays with them after the final song fades out, especially someone who might still be trapped in the kind of pain that this album confronts?
I mean, to each their own in their own time and at their own pace. Like
Yeah.
when I was in those bad moments of my life, I would just kind of have the album on repeat, just kind of giving me strength and helping me in a
Yeah.
way like feel seen and like heard, in what was going on internally. But eventually I found like with artists that helped me through those moments or bands or lyrics or whatever, eventually you take the good from it and you're just like, oh, like I can do better. I deserve better. I deserve freedom. I deserve healing.
Yeah.
I don't need to live this way anymore. And if someone does that with this, like if I can just help one person, which I have in the past on projects and music I've released, if I can just help one person, that's amazing. It helped me,
That's huge. Yeah.
So whatever people take from it, if they like the weirdest song or they like the saddest song or they like all of it,
Yeah.
whatever they can take from it, that's what it's there for. That's what music's about. I made it for me because I obviously had been through some shit and needed to write about it.
No, you
put
gotta get it
out
out,
there.
right?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
when I was 36, I was still going through it. And I find I don't really heal past anything until I've alchemized it into music. So I'm feeling a lot freer these days because
That's
it's
awesome.
done and it's
So glad
almost
to hear
out
that.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lindsay, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to not only discuss the album, but for also turning survival into art, and for being willing to let listeners walk through that fire with you. And for everybody watching, remember that Harrowing is out June 19th. There will be a pre-save and a pre-order link below in the video description. Lindsay, thank you so much again for your time.
My gosh, thank you.